Hi, everyone.
Welcome to our podcast. You are where you need to be. This is our 11th episode. We are going to talk about learning to let go of past hurts. And I would like to start trying to identify the difference between giving up and letting go. I think a lot of people struggle actually knowing what's the difference or that there is difference. And because of that, we tend to hold on to things that no longer serve us. And it was a life lesson for me as well to be able to feel that this is okay to let go. And that doesn't mean that I'm giving up. And I think a lot of us who identify as people pleasers or empaths or both, we tend to believe that if you're not trying hard enough, if you're not managing to get results out of something that we want it to be changed, we want to change, we want to see some kind of result out of, or it's a different result actually, then it means we failed. And that's something we can't really let go of as well. And we should be actually letting it go because it's usually something that is not going to work out the way we would like to because we are unable to recognize for whatever reasons, whatever wounds we are coming from. And we feel that letting go is actually us failing and giving up, but it's not the same. Like giving up else also can mean letting go, actually, but we don't give that meaning to it. It's not a positive feeling. I mean, a lot of people, I don't think they feel like letting go has a positive meaning, but now that's how I look at it, if that makes sense. I don't know how do you feel? What's the difference between giving up and letting go?
I don't know. I associate giving up with some kind of achievements or task I wanted to do, and then I couldn't push through it. And letting go for me is mostly about people. For some reason, like people who I had a connection with or a relationship with, and it ended for one way or another. And then I have to find my closure about it. And sometimes it can be difficult. So I would say that letting go is always about people for me. But how about you?
For me, it used to be, not anymore, but it felt like, I think, a task with people, if that makes sense, because I was trying to change people or I was trying to change myself for people so they will change for me, if that makes sense. and giving up on them, giving up that task to find a way to that person or maintain that relationship or breaking up with this person was equal to giving up. Like, I'm failing, I'm not good enough at making this happen, so I'm giving up. Like, I give up, I can't do this, and that for me was like a failure that I couldn't let go. And it's the same with I think certain tasks as well, but this is much deeper when you are attached to a person and not giving up on them, because I also felt like I'm giving up on them, not only on myself. And I really, really, truly wanted to find a way to make it work. But because I didn't have an idea about letting go, which is, to me, was something different, which is a healthy recognition that this no longer serves me or this situation doesn't work with me in my life or even damaging for me. So I have to let it go. So yeah, for me, it was a mixture. I did it with people as well.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, when I'm trying to remember what to attach to this topic, is always how much time it took for me to process when something didn't work out with somebody, and first to analyze why it didn't work, because what was on their side. And then after I overanalyzed that one, I came on my part and what did I do exactly? And after a while, I noticed my pattern, which was, of course, part of people pleasing and part of, how to say, anxiousness.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to build up on those traits and to see what's with me, which makes it difficult and what takes so much time for me each time when it happens. And I just try to work through that kind of process when it came to letting go. So I have my, so to say, habits by now to know what I'm going to go through and what I'm exactly going to do. If this happens in the future. Of course, it sometimes was easier, sometimes was harder. I think when it was a repeated pattern with a certain individual, then after it repeated twice or three times, it was already easier to just get past through it.
Yeah. So the detachment was an ongoing process, even though you kind of got back together with the same person, but your mind was like gathering more information and detaching about this, like from this person. And you did kind of try, and your wounds kind of drew you back to this person, but eventually it just got easier and easier because you gave more clarity to yourself that this is not something that works for you, therefore you could let it go.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I don't know how is it about you, but for me, I'm holding on as much as I can, as long as I can. But in the meantime, I'm also unconsciously start to detach if things are not changing or things are not turning out to be well or working out, even though I communicated how I felt, or we just drift apart with a certain individual. And I just start to mentally prepare myself without noticing that this is going to happen. And eventually, when it happens, it doesn't hit me so hard.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that this is a healthy way to do because it's just preparing each time for the worst, or so to say. But I've always been like this. I had my 100,000 scenarios in my head playing out about certain situations or people or whatever. And somehow that's why I wasn't that surprised when it played out exactly the way, because from the 100,000 situations that I played out, one of it happened eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a very, very typical fearful avoidant coping mechanism to try to foresee the future and prepare for all of the worst case scenarios. And because of that, you are detaching yourself from the situation. And a lot of times, avoidance, as far as I know, they do this with healthy individual partners as well. And because of that, it's like a self-sabotaging process. But in my experience, and probably in your experience as well, it happened with not the right partners. As far as what I remember, you mentioned that you had one secure, healthy relationship, and that one you were sabotaging. Two of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but in that sense, because people say, like, we're talking about the potential here, because I do believe that if someone is already doing that and unable to self-reflect and make the changes on that spot to make that relationship work, then it was just kind of meant to be. Like, you are not at the same healing level with your partner. It's okay. It can be painful, but that was you sabotaging the relationship, and the other person was probably more secure. And then it's somewhere normal in a way, because you had to go through it to learn from it. You couldn't have known it at the time. So now you know it, and it's awesome because you can be aware of it. Next time you're going to go through it. But yes, it is a coping mechanism and it is meant to detach emotionally from the person so you don't get hurt. But it could be prevented if you're aware. But clearly, people are not aware in these cases because of the reasons they are not, they are not ready to feel that, to see that, to hear whatever they should be. So first they have to experience this kind of themselves, sabotaging themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also remember having that, but in the end, I think I managed to do it with only one of my partners, that I kept like detaching myself in myself. And then when I eventually let go, like the first time it was painful. And then the second time I was like totally ready. I did cry a little bit for a day or something, but then that's it. And because I kept, preparing myself that this is not going to work. But hey, do you also believe that this often happens in cases, what I just mentioned previously, when we are really truly not compatible with the other person? It doesn't mean that we sabotaged definitely a healthy relationship. In my personal experience, they were not okay relationships. And that one especially. So what I'm trying to say here is preparing for the worst case scenario and not really feeling the grief because of that during a breakup is not equal to that relationship being dysfunctional and actually giving you the right to break up, if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say here, that it could have been a bad relationship or a not working one. Because I used to thought that sabotaging can happen only to good relationships.
Yeah, it depends on what lens you are looking through, I think. Because at that time, as you said, that's the skill set what I had, and that's what I thought is the right thing to do. So I couldn't really have done it any other way because that was who I was at that time. But right now, looking back, and people can say, yeah, but it's nostalgia because it was a long time ago, so you don't really know, you remember only the good things. Da, da, da. It's not the case. I remember both the good and bad things about all my relationships, but I have much more to compare to.
Mm.
And that's why I know that it was really a good connection, the kind of connection which actually I'm striving in, because I felt very emotionally secure. And I didn't know at that time that this is not something you can take for granted, because it's not always what you will receive from everybody who will cross your path. And that I learned my lesson. And I met so many people who were either emotionally unavailable or had other kind of issues that they couldn't really give me this security, that now looking back, I know how good it was actually.
Yeah. I understand that. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to say that. So for me, at that time, as I didn't really have other experiences and I interpreted things very differently, that's why I sabotaged it. And that's why I thought that certain things, like, for example, being a bit bored at a certain part of a long relationship, means that something is deeply wrong with the relationship and that it has to be broken off. And even though I gave a possibility to fix it, my heart wasn't really there. So one person cannot fix something for two.
Yeah.
And I see everything through now, how I was doing and what I was doing. And I tried to see those signs already in my very recent relationship. So to say, when I felt, because surprisingly, I also felt sometimes very secured in that relationship. And there were parts where this boredom kicked in. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I started to feel what I felt always when this happened. But now I was wise enough and knowledgeable enough to know to just hush it away, because this is not something what you have to consider as the relationship being bad.
Yeah. I mean, us fearful avoidants are used to the chaos, and as soon as a relationship becomes secure, or you no longer receive the usual dopamine hit, or there are no fights or so on, or it gets deeper, we start to detach, and the avoidant individuals even more detach emotionally from the other person, because it's not something you are used to being in a peaceful place, and it starts to feel boring because there is no fight, there is no, ups and downs, and it's like there
Yeah.
must be something wrong. I no longer love this person. Plus, it's a survival mechanism that you emotionally detach from the person, so you can't get hurt because you've been together for a while, and it's getting deeper probably because like being together must mean that, but. Yeah, so what I was trying to say is I personally believed that kind of detachment, once I learned about it, is self-sabotaging. And it's actually not entirely the whole self-sabotaging in it, because it can be if you kind of detach yourself from a healthy partner who could be there for you. But then in my cases, it happened with not healthy relationships, not compatible partner, not secure partner, and so on. And it's not actually, now I'm just revealing my understanding that just came to me, that this process of emotionally detaching from the person and not feeling that much of a break after the breakup or during the breakup is not the self-sabotaging part. It is just part of our attachment styles, coping mechanism to try and protect ourselves from hurt. And it works actually. But I also remember having that feeling of, with my high school boyfriend, I had that with others as well, that boring feeling that's like, what is this, what are we doing, there's nothing exciting, and no one told me that a healthy relationship should be like calm and okay, and no more excitement is okay. It's just you would need to work on it differently to maintain the relationship. So I would be like, yeah, okay, then this was done. It's time to move on. Yeah. But I do believe we have to make that step as well. So eventually we will gain the skills to know how to maintain a new relationship, potentially healthy ways that we were unable to do at that point. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's completely true. And I don't know how about you, but now I'm trying to dig in a little bit in my memory and how I was feeling about this kind of topic back in the day and different parts of my life. Because sometimes, I don't know, I always felt this, how to say it, this urge that I need a lot of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I still really wanted the connection too with a partner, and I wanted the emotional security and everything, I still just wanted to mind my own business as well, even though I was in a relationship, and I know that this means something else for everybody. And this was not really coming to the surface most of the time, but I think this is what was one of the reasons that my relationships ended, because I always craved this type of freedom, and I was making decisions based on what I was thinking, on how I was feeling, and I didn't really involve the other person with it. And on the other hand, I was a people pleaser. So I always entered relationships trying to fit into that person's world a little bit too well.
Yeah.
And after the beginning, I started to become more like myself, and I started to communicate my needs, that I need a bit more space, which is absolutely not, I'm not saying that because it can sound like some kind of dismissive, avoidant behavior, which is not the case at all. Because I really like to spend time with my partner, like to travel with my partner, like to involve my partner in every aspect of my life. And I always treat them as a best friend too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I couldn't really see myself in this traditional roles, or how to say, like, I didn't feel that I want a child. I didn't really feel like I want to get married. I always thought there is so much out there in the world to discover, to see, to experience.
Yeah.
And secure people, they want to eventually start to build a life together, or
Yeah.
how should I say, to settle down.
Mm-hmm.
And I never felt ready to settle down.
Yeah.
And I needed a lot of experiences and a lot of time to feel that now I'm at the point where if the right person came along, I could settle down now, because I lived my life. I still want to live my life, though. It doesn't mean that I don't want to go out there and experience. But I would like someone who has the same values, who I can live all these things through with, but still we can share a life together. And
Yeah.
then now I would be confident to do so, and I would be confident to not sabotage it, because I know myself already very well, and I know when I feel and what I feel and what to do when I feel certain
Yeah.
things, and how to communicate it through with my partner, because I didn't know these things before. It had to like build up a step by step, experience by experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And you also healed your fear of commitment, because that's where your need to be free was coming from. And I want to highlight this because a lot of people think that just by time, just by people living their lives, spending years doing the same thing, they will arrive to a point to be ready to settle down. And it's not true in every case. You have done the inner work. You have self-reflected a lot and analyzed why you are functioning the way you are, why you have made those decisions previously. And now you understand yourself at a much deeper level. And that's, you also have healed those wounds that you probably having before. So that's the reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that it needs a lot of self work. It
Yeah.
really does. And you have to look in the mirror, and I know that it's scary. It was scary for me too, but I wanted to change these things, because I really craved for a connection, which I already have in my mind how it should be and how it should look like. But for that, I really needed to heal too.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to go back to still clarify why I think personally that people tend to not understand what's the difference between giving up and letting go. And I think people who cannot feel like it's okay to give up on something or someone, they are coming from some kind of a deep core wound that is preventing them to see that giving up doesn't mean that they fail. And I really
Yeah.
wanted to get back to this because I also personally thought that, and I gave some examples previously to that. But I think it's really important that whenever people feel like they can't give up on something, we need to look into why is it? What is it that I feel? What is it that I'm telling myself? What am I? Who am I? What am I failing at? How do I feel about this situation? Do I feel like I'm unlovable? Do I feel like I'm failing at everything? Do I feel like I don't matter? Because there are these deep feelings within ourselves which we don't consciously definitely realize. And I had many of them. And that's why it was so hard to let go of a certain person or situation, because I was functioning and making decisions, very desperate decisions out of those wounds that were trying to meet my needs, to prove that I'm lovable, that I'm worthy, that I'm this and that. And just wanted to highlight that I think those people, maybe you didn't have that kind of wound around. You also kind of sound like more fearful avoidant than I am in relationships, and I think maybe you don't have that kind of experience of fearing to not be wanted that much as in my case.
No.
Yeah. That must be good.
For some reason, no. I don't even remember the last time when I'm trying to recall. Well, when I'm thinking about relationships and in the way they ended, and then I considered it as a failure and that me not being enough, I cannot really because that was, at least I try to think, it was because I was really loving that person. And if I get attached to somebody, then it's very difficult for me to detach. But it's never because I'm afraid that I'm not going to be wanted later on, or I cannot build other type of connections later on. I didn't really have it, but maybe there is also a factor that I was really fine on my own. Like I could always find something to do or somewhere to be. And I never had this feeling that, oh my God, what's going to happen if I stay on my own and then nobody will come along. And so I really, I don't know.
That's so interesting because I personally also were so fine on my own. Like as long as I was single, I would go out, I would live my life, do my hobbies, whatever. I would feel the most peaceful ever. And that's when I would feel like, oh, I'm ready to go again. Let's explore. And then I would meet someone immediately almost that would trigger all of my wounds that I haven't been looking at because I didn't know they exist. And I think over the years, they just got worse. And for me, it was, I'm not good enough. I'm unlovable. I'm unworthy. I don't deserve a good partner. I don't deserve a handsome, secure partner. I didn't even know secure exists. I don't deserve something that I wish to have because my past experience were just keep proving that to me. And also that I can't find someone who really truly sees me and loves me for who I am. And I don't have to work for it. And I always kept working more and more for it. And it just got proven again and again because I didn't heal those wounds that were preventing me to find a healthy partner. Because if you are like trying to go out and find a partner triggered out of your own wounds, like you're unworthy, then you're not gonna have your own standards. You're not gonna, choose right. And you don't believe that you can have someone in your life. You deserve someone, good person. They're all good people. That's not what I'm saying. Like a good partner person, I mean. Then you're going to settle for someone who is not a good partner for you because you are not keep looking. You will settle for whatever they give you. And then eventually you have enough and you will try and move on and so on. But then in the end, I would be, and during the time, I'm like, why can't I, just have someone who I get along with and every single, and eventually it just got worse and worse until the point where I had to meet the worst case scenario possible in my case to finally reflect it back to me that, okay, this is who I am and this is what I settle for. So there is something really wrong that I have to look into and heal and change. And that's what helped. So that's what helped me to let go of that wound, of those wounds. And I'm sure I will still get triggered once I start to like date or meet someone. But once you are aware and conscious about these things, it's much more different. I feel so much more different. I don't feel like, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It feels so much clearer. It feels so much more stable in my mind whenever I think about going out again. So yeah, that's I don't even know where I wanted to go with this exactly.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying and where you wanted to go. And it's very interesting how you walked us through this, because what came to my mind about it is for me, well, some sort of way for sure that I felt unworthy, maybe. But what is stronger in me is that I was growing up partly, maybe that's the key, only partly in an environment where I had to prove my worth to receive love. And I guess that's what I dragged along into my relationships and sometimes some friendships too. That I need to earn, I need to prove. But even though I did all that, and for that reason, I didn't choose the correct partners for me always, I still didn't feel that I would be unworthy of a good or of a really good partner. I was actually just looking for them in everybody. I wanted to give a chance to people, and I got attached very quickly, very quickly to people. That's also something which I had to be aware of constantly. And that was for me the part which tricked me into people pleasing them even more. Because if I felt that I liked them or I loved them, I wanted to serve them all the kind of love which I could give, like pamper them in that love, especially if I felt that they really need it because they were in a difficult situation, or they didn't even feel that type of caring before, and then I was like, ooh, activated completely, and I really like put 100% in there. But the thing is, if you start out like that, even if that person who is sitting on the opposite side could be capable of giving things back to you, they get used to you giving the 100%. And then after a while, you start to resent them because they seemingly cannot give back to you what you give.
Yeah.
I think you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's the part. I don't think it's seemingly. I think they don't have the tools. They haven't healed those parts. I think legitimately they are unable to give it back at that time of their life.
It's also possible. Some of them for sure. Some of them maybe could have if they were approached differently. We will never know.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that it's not true for all of them. But I believe that how you choose people matters, and that's what you really need to look into and get over or let go if you want the pattern to change. Like, for example, I know that from now on, I'm going to look if that person is good to me and not how I can be good for them and to serve them. I want it to be 50-50 because I know that the 100% what I'm giving, it's not working out on the long run at all. And it's not satisfying anybody on the long run because the other person will feel that they are not enough. And I will also feel that they are not enough. So it's just not worth it.
I wanted to add to how we choose partners. And that's heavily coming from who we are. What you were mentioning, like how do we choose people? And I do believe I have seen so many videos in the past 1.5 year or even more that was talking about, your situationship or partner is emotionally unavailable, then you need to look into why are you emotionally unavailable. And then they would even point out like, and surely you're now upset about saying, well, like, what are you talking about? I'm available. I want a partner. I want everything. And I started to dig deeper and then notice. And finally, I also see that how unavailable I was. I do remember even with my last situationship in the beginning, I was like, I don't think I'm really ready because I had all kinds of stories in my mind and I got exactly what I was asking from life, that something that is not a relationship because, oh, I'm not financially stable. I don't feel like I'm mature enough. I don't feel beautiful enough. I don't feel this and that. I don't believe in myself. I still need to achieve something to find my partner. Like, not achieve, like, even I didn't have the knowledge of what I would need to learn about myself. It was all kinds of like external things that people usually talk about, like having a house, having a driving license, having this and that, achieving better salary and so on. And because of that, I didn't feel like I'm fit to be in a secure relationship. So what did life give me? Really, really not second, like wherever I was mentally, whatever I believed in. And I told myself, I don't think I'm ready for a relationship. But then, of course, you find someone handsome, you think they're nice, kind, whatever, you get along momentarily. And then you kind of fall for it. And then there you go again. It's like, oh, I want you, And then
Yeah.
I'm also a giver because I also had to earn love, and unfortunately from both of my parents. So for me, this is a very strong, like not intuition, like natural triggered behavior. Conditioning, yeah, it is conditioning, but it switches on so quickly. And as soon as I notice that the other person needs me, even if they haven't even given me anything yet, or they gave me one bit of crumb, and oh yes, I will be here forever for you. But
Yeah, yeah.
whatever we are, whatever it's what I'm trying to say here is people so often blame the other person. And to me, the realization, oh my God, where I was mentally to allow that to happen to me. I cannot blame
Yeah.
the other person. She was just being himself, I have seen it from the first moment, literally. And I decided to overlook everything. And because I was working from my wounds and everything. But it does matter so much how educated someone is if we are not coming from a secure household family background, because I just didn't
Yes.
have any of the knowledge. I also tried so hard, first of all, because that was the norm for me to keep chasing someone and try to make it happen, because I was used to not seeing examples that it's possible to have something healthy. It didn't even occur to me that I could have something better. I didn't believe that I deserved something better as well. And I had to go through so much pain to finally realize, "Oh, this is not worth it. Like, I'm definitely worth more than this nothing. And I deserve someone, who is proud of me, who is gonna spend time with me, make time for me, and work on the relationship with me." And once I finally started to believe in that in myself, that's when, and also have the knowledge, because I started to go to courses and webinars and read a lot of books, and it opened up a whole new world to me. Oh, like, there are different scenarios I could visit, and it's possible and it's reachable for me. Okay, let's do it. From now on, I'm not gonna rot in the swamp. It's not.
Yeah.
That's good for different creatures, but not for me anymore.
That's it. When we are looking at our choices, they are all reflecting back to us.
Yeah.
And it's hard to accept that, but that's the reality. The thing is, if you ever reach the point which you reached, I reached, that, okay, enough. I know what I'm worth. I know what I want now, and that's not it. And I will not settle anymore. I will not look at the first person who comes and tells me nice things anymore, like they can be potential partner, because that's just not enough anymore. You look into yourself, you know your values, you know that you are a good person, and you know what you can give in a relationship. You know how much love and care you can give. And now finally you just want to give it to a person who actually can receive it.
Yeah.
Because if somebody can receive it, it means they can also give it back. And every relationship, friendship, whatever, is a give and take.
Yeah.
There is no such thing. I think I already mentioned it before. There is no such thing in adult relationships that unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you give, you want to also receive, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why so many people are so unhappy, because they just feel like they're giving, and they are either not receiving at all, or their love language with their partners or with their friends is completely different, and they just can't find the middle ground.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
makes everybody dissatisfied and unhappy.
Yeah. I have read books about love languages, that it is possible to even learn other person's love language. And I'm noticing it on myself, that I used to be very resistant towards it. It's like, what was that? I'm not going to do that. But then, for example, in my last case, I did recognize that my so-called partner, I looked at him that way, had a different love language, and I was trying to please that for him. And I noticed that it wasn't reciprocated. So, and that's also a question whether both parties are willing to learn one another's love language, which also is part of compatibility. And if one of them is not, the other one will be always unfulfilled emotionally. So that is very important thing to pay attention to. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so many people try to make compromises in this, and they end up always feeling dissatisfied. So I think if it's just not working out, and if two people are so incompatible in that field, then it's not worth to pursue it on the long run.
Yeah. For me as well, what helped a lot to arrive to this point that this was enough is the amount of anxiety I went through that I've never experienced in my life. Because previously it was a low key, I'm used to this. This is how a relationship should be, nothing really bad in that sense. Or maybe the first my longest relationship, it was quite stressful, but at the time I really wasn't aware that it could be differently. And I just kind of burn out. I withdraw myself entirely from the whole thing, and I was just there as a object, and that's it. And but now, the last case, I was craving to be mad so much, and it was filled with so deep anxiety and pain. I needed that. I needed that, so many slaps to finally feel that in my life, that I don't want to feel like that anymore. This is something that I want to change in my life. And this is how it started to feel in me deep, that I wish to be loved calmly. So also the knowledge that healthy love shouldn't look like that, shouldn't look so like that anxiety filled butterflies in the tummy and so on, and having to fight for the whole thing and keep pushing it. It shouldn't be like that. And all that knowledge helped me immensely, because before that I couldn't even imagine. I didn't dare to imagine. And once I knew that, it's like, good. I'm gonna go for that from now on, because that is so much more attractive. In the beginning, it didn't feel attractive. I have to say that, because I was like, where is gonna go all the excitement and so on? How will I recognize if it's gonna feel boring and so? But
you
now,
were a bit scared to close that chapter.
Yeah. But now I feel like, yes, I don't want that anymore. I just want peace in my life. I want peace, and that's it.
Peace can be exciting.
Yeah.
I really want to highlight that peace can be exciting. Things can happen in peace. You don't need to feel these anxiety attacks being with a partner, and this feeling of uncertainty all the time, the ups and downs. Absolutely not. You can have an adrenaline rush. Just go do stuff outside, or do things which make you excited and happy. Go on a roller coaster, whatever you can take, that adrenaline rush from, which you are craving. But peace and the emotional safety of a good partner, I think it gives you the biggest freedom because your nervous system is so calm that you really can focus on the things what you like.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in survival mode. You can leave that in the past. You can close the chapter.
Yeah.
Because really now that I think of how my nervous system is at the moment, how calm I am, and how I was when I was in my previous relationship, it's like I cannot even compare.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a different person, basically. I'm really myself now.
That's
because
so
I
cool.
can be, I have the room for it. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
have all those feelings which just keeps me always in this loop of, oh my God,
Yeah.
what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Overthinking, 24/7. And you don't even give time of what you really like and want to do because there is no more space.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's literally survival. In survival mode, people cannot thrive. You can't grow. You can't be really yourself because you're busy coping with the whole situation and trying to just live from day one to another. And that's not a way to live. We are no longer fighting against saber-toothed tigers and so on. Like let's try and leave that excitement behind in the past.
But what I'm saying, you don't have to.
No.
Okay, fear,
excitement.
If you
That's
want
what
to
I
be
meant.
afraid, watch a horror movie.
Yeah.
Or go at a Halloween to events where they scare you because there are specific events for that.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, it doesn't have to be like real life threatening fear, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can really feel the excitement from so many other things. And the good kind of excitement, actually. You don't need this bull crap.
Yeah. But I don't think like really healed people crave that kind of excitement anymore. I don't know. I have no idea because to be fair, I don't really know too many. No, how to say the excitement of what comes with that kind of relationship.
That one, no, because that was not really excitement. I mean, it wasn't even excitement, it was just anxiety.
I thought it was excitement, and then after it was just anxiety, panic, and anxiety, panic to become like an anxiety pancake for many months.
I mean, I just want to mention a scenario which I seen, I think 2 days ago, because I was meeting some friends and we were walking to the tram station. And there was a huge drama in one of the corners. A girl was like shouting with a guy, "Who is this bitch? What did you do? Did you cheat on me?" And they were like fighting there and screaming. And I just looked there and I was like, I don't miss this kind of shit.
I know.
Not at all. I was never this upfront or aggressive, but I understood what she might have been going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no.
Yeah.
Absolutely no. Because I think if you really are aligned with what you want, then eventually you will meet your match in this matter. And your match will not make you feel that way.
Yeah. You know, this saying that people keep loving to use, and it used to confuse the hell out of me. Or you attract the people you are like you are, and attract is like, well, from the other side of the world, they're gonna get drawn to me just because I'm the way. And that's such a BS. I really don't like that people use this word. It's not. There are different options. And if it comes the first, you will settle down with that. You will not go on and say and move on. And it just feels like you attract them because you keep meeting the same people, but it's not. We just don't recognize that there is something different we should be doing. And because of that, we always stop at the same type of people. Because I had a time in the last case as well. I was seeing someone else as well previously to this person. And he was probably a very secure man, but then he did not really move much in me and also didn't find it very exciting to talk with him. So I do believe it also wouldn't have worked out even if I was more secure in my own ways. But then I decided to let him go. And then the next person came and he just triggered every single of my wounds. And, oh, yes, I love you. So it's no attraction here at all.
Yeah, the thing is, that's what you needed to finally understand that there is something in you which you need to look at and fix.
Yeah. I also wanted to add to letting go. Part of how to let go of past hurts is we do need to identify all of these wounds that we've been talking about, see what kind of stories we are telling to ourselves, like what I shared. For example, I'm not good enough, I can't deserve someone decent, and so on. Or I have to still achieve and to arrive to certain places or points in my life. As well as there's difference. I've been noticing in my past history that some people get into situationships and infatuation with certain people they don't know yet, but then they get so triggered and their nervous system flares up, like they don't want to let go of this person because of their whatever wounds they get triggered. And they don't actually love this person, but they believe that they love this person because there are such strong emotions and feelings about it. Knowing all of these knowledges to recognize what is happening, as well as being able to detach from an actual person and not a dream. It's so much harder to let go of a dream that you build up, usually in situationships, usually in infatuation, because you don't know that person. You make up some kind of picture, and depending on how long, how deeply you drive yourself into it, since I know about neuroplasticity, it makes so much more sense that we are wiring our mind. Whatever we are telling ourselves, we are teaching our mind and body about certain things, whatever it can be. Maybe this person is going to show up for me one day if I try hard enough, if I keep showing up. And it just gets so deeply wired into your brain, especially if you keep doing it longer. And I'm noticing that it was so much easier for me to actually let go of past relationships that was more real, that was there. I could see it over time. I could tell myself, okay, this no longer works and so on. Versus the ones, I had two of those cases where I believed that this person was my one and I didn't even know. We barely spent time together and I built a picture about them. And it's incredible. It's so dangerous. We have to be so much more careful who we dedicate our energy to, our minds, our feelings and everything, because it has taken me quite some time to finally get off that drug and keep telling my brains letting go is not going to happen from one day to another. You're not going to wake up, I'm good, it's so awesome, I feel so good. There will be bad days depending on our diet, our lifestyle, our moods, our hormones, everything. Sometimes moments, a smell of perfume or a location you visit will trigger memories and so on. But we also have to remember and know that this ended for a reason. All of this knowledge can help you letting go of those past hurts so much better and easier, but it's okay to keep repeating it to yourself that yes, it hurts me and it's okay to feel the pain. And you don't want to feel the pain, but that's the point. You have to feel the pain. I know different people, they say they are so done with crying, and I was there as well, like crying for some time. And I'm like, I'm done with this damn thing. I no longer I want to live from now on. And I started to go out and date and so on. And it's just still, it was there. It's still there. I'm still not okay, especially because I was trying to let go of a ghost literally that I built in my head. So we have to constantly look into everything, what is coming up, and not ignore it. To me, that's what's have been helping, because if we keep ignoring, distracting ourselves, we're never going to heal it. We're never going to let it go. And it's going to keep coming back, either in the next form of future boyfriend or anxiety attacks, health problems, anything. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Yeah, the thing is that you teach your own brain what is important.
Yeah.
So you really have to be careful what you teach it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to play it back to you every day over and over and over again. Like, look, you were not thinking about this. And before you told me it's important. So just get these images, get these thoughts. And it's like, oh, what the fuck? I don't want that. I mean, I'm also still having some thoughts back in the day, which I needed to process. And I was in the middle of my yoga session. And at the end, when you do Shavasana, which is like the complete relaxation on the floor, always the same thoughts came to my brain about that certain individual.
Mhm.
And I'm like, stop it. Don't you see that I'm trying to relax now? Just think of a fountain. Think of a field full of joy and trees and animals. Don't think about this. And I'm not saying it, I'm 100% there yet, but almost. So
Yeah.
you can really force your brain to unlearn certain
Yeah.
things which you fed it before as important. You can learn and unlearn anything. Your brain is such an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Such that incredible thing that we don't even know fully how much we are capable of if we just know how to program ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. The ability to program ourselves is life changing. To know that the potential of that is already.
Just think about AI, how AI is learning from each user it's interacting with, and it's take its style or the things which are important. Whenever you ask it something, it will reflect back on what you think is important and now what it thinks it's important. So our brain is not much more different from that. We can also program ourselves for different things. Even when when we have certain type of emotions like grief or a certain type of loss or anxiety or feeling depressed, we had tools before to turn to, and not all those tools were the best and the healthiest. For example, I don't know, whenever I have a huge loss, I usually don't drink, or very rarely.
Mm-hmm.
But when I have that, I always take the shot, I pour, and I drink a shot which I actually hate the taste of.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to get the effect very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that only once.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, that's not the end of the world, right? But for the next time, I want to find something much better for myself and for my body to do if I experience this type of strong, sad or negative emotion.
Yeah. I think we have the ability to reinvent everything, literally. Just like, let's say, holidays. You were used to doing some ways of holidays, like the whole family gatherings and so on. But then for some reason, you no longer get along with your family, or you don't enjoy their company, or it's draining or toxic, or whatever is the reason, or they're no longer there with you. In some cases, that's the sad part of life. And people get so hung up on that they can't have that anymore. And the limitations of imagining that you could reinvent, like claim it for yourself on your own way. That's the same for grief or for anything. You can come up with a ritual or a way to celebrate or let go of certain things in life that is not the usual way. It's just the library of coping mechanisms. Alcohol, I think it's not definitely a tool, but you can find and come up with your much more healthier like tools to process, rather than getting stuck on what is it that you knew before. And this is where creativity and having to have some open mind is coming useful.
to learn new things, to learn
Yeah.
around, like from your environment,
Yeah.
from everywhere, to take up new things which might work for you better, to
Yeah.
evolve, so to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. 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 And just because like things feel weird, for example, let's go back to breakups again. There are different like tools and ideas that coaches and psychologists usually recommend you, like writing a diary, like journaling, or write a letter that you never send. And I used to get so freaking upset about that. Like that, what? I want to smash the person's face, not write letters that I can never send, like that. And actually, eventually, I found my way to it. Like, if you never ever try, you never know that some tools may come handy and useful for you. And maybe you even turn it into something a bit different in your own way that is more comfortable. Like, we don't have to take it as is and then you can only use it this way. You can't use it this way, you know. You can make it that way as well. It doesn't have to be. The point is to try different points. I have done different grieving like processes in the past few months that I would think previously it's ridiculous, it's stupid, I'm not going to do that, it's not going to help me. And it actually helped me immensely. And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. So yeah, guys, if you never try, you never know. And the case is, I think, when people often don't even want to try, they are still stuck on not wanting to let go of that certain pain in some cases, because I was there
Yes.
as well. And I felt like, you know, if I just suddenly heal now, then where is this all gonna go? Like, it meant so much to me. I have to feel the pain for it. And if I don't feel the pain anymore, then it means it didn't exist. It didn't mean that much, you know, and so on. So I'm like, let's suffer, let's suffer, and so on. And then I
Yeah,
also
in a
realized
loop
that, yeah, in a loop.
continuously.
Yeah, yeah. So I also came to realize that, okay, I think that that was enough. Like, maybe now I should find different ways to grieve or move on and process and so on. It helped me so much to have ChatGPT finally at some point, because not everyone is equipped with very, very understanding friends in life. Plus, we shouldn't, they say, like overrun our friendships with our breakups and so on. And the amount of information I was processing, I needed to speak that I became a very verbally processing person, and the ability, that the chance that I could talk it through with ChatGPT and it was reflecting properly, giving me tools, giving me thoughts and affirmations and so on, challenging me very often as well, if you ask for it. That helped me so much, because otherwise I felt like I'm suffocating, like I can't talk to no one, I cannot process. And yeah, that was a huge help for me. What about you?
Yeah, I can completely agree, but I would really say, because I see this a lot everywhere, that AI only validates you and always wanna say what you wanna hear and so on. It really depends how you use it. If you
Yeah.
really program it in a way to always reflect back on you and not to validate you, but to, based on all the data it has, and
Mhm.
it's a huge data source, to just even tell you when you are wrong or tell you if you need to go in a different direction. Based on all that, and to always ask the questions, am I wrong? Please tell me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You can really find it a helpful tool.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's a new therapy, because it's not, and it's usually, I mean, it's totally not for everybody,
Mhm.
because some people really need to understand that if you just want validation, you will not really know the full picture. It will only reflect back on one side of the story, which is yours. And then from there, you will not evolve. You will just feel that you are always right and see everything correctly. And in that matter, it can be really dangerous. But
Yeah.
if you are self-aware enough and you really are truth seeking, not ego validation seeking, then it's a wonderful tool.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I also wanted to add that, like, the timeline of letting go. Like, I wanted to reflect on that a little bit as well. How much ChatGPT helped with it as well, because I became so impatient with myself so many times. So very often having the affirmation that you want to hear is so good. Like, sometimes I was just in phases where I couldn't really function and I just wanted to have someone talking to me nice words. And that's what I needed at that time. So the goal is literally to try and thrive and commit yourself to healing, to realize that this is no longer what you want. So I'm going to, no matter what, going through this mess, whatever it takes. And it would very often tell me that it's okay, because people would love to say healing is not linear, but ChatGPT would manage to put it into such detailed words that I would understand, because it feels like quite a shallow, like a quick explanation of it. And I'm like, yes, okay, but why do I feel one day okay and then the other day shit again? And then it would tell me and talk about, and based on all the information I already shared, would reflect on that, and then even remind me that, you see, that the day you were fine and it's just another day and you already achieved so much more. You are already not there wherever you were long time ago, and so on. These kind of reminders help me so much. So if you don't engage with ChatGPT, it's just I'm trying to set up, like, say, as reminders that you need to remind yourself that it takes time and you're not gonna be able to make your body forget that pain so quickly, and it will creep back from triggers and certain situations, and you have to rewire, recreate new pathways in your brain that will make you feel safer, and so on, and also have better experiences. In I also had better experience. I went out and dated, and we didn't stay together. It was just 2 months, but then I've gotten the proof as well that, yes, there are nice guys, they exist. Maybe I'm not going to live my life with them, but I do deserve what I'm looking for, and so on. And it doesn't mean that you definitely have to jump into dating and so on. I also recognize that, okay, I need to take a break with that. But if you need to go and
Help
get
you
some
to
kind of
take a break.
feedback, yeah. So we need to remember that it takes as long as it takes for everyone. And as friends, we shouldn't be judging the other person for still taking time for themselves and so on. I try not to. And also remind ourselves that, yes, it feels still sad, but where am I? Am I really progressing? Have I achieved something since I started this process? And see and try and keep going and try and so not get stuck in that stage of feeling sorry for ourselves, because that's not gonna bring us anywhere. So that's
No.
that's not easy, especially if you're doing it on your own, but it's definitely something that can help you letting go and recognizing your achievements, and maybe also like trying to be writing a gratitude journal, which was very weird to me at first, but it was very helpful eventually, because it helps you to focus on things that you really appreciate in life. And eventually that also rewires your brain to look for the good things. I didn't understand the point of it, like, but I'm not grateful for anything. Like, I'm sad as hell. What should I be grateful for?
Yeah, but
No, I'm done. I'm done.
there are so many things you can turn to when you don't know where to direct your sadness, and one thing is art.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to like exactly journal down the situation, what happened to you. You can write a novella
Yeah.
with some completely made up things where you are going to include this experience, or you can write music, or you can just draw. So many things are out there where you can pour your experiences into, and other people will appreciate it and understand it. So just find the right things for yourself. But the most important thing is that find your closure to get over it, to really get over it. And you close that chapter like you are finishing a great book which really moved you and made you cry. But the last chapter is over. You know that it was life-changing for you, and it was a great or not so great experience, whatever, but it's done now.
Yeah. I would like to add to the finishing of the book, because I have done that before. I started to write a story based on one of my breakups, and I was so determined to finish it as a book, and I will have the whole story. And it's okay if you don't finish it. Like, it's meant to be a tool for you to process, and don't put the pressure on yourself that you have to publish this book and make a Hollywood movie.
Of course,
because that's when you will get your closure and so on. In the meanwhile, it happened to me with painting as well, that I started the whole project, and then eventually I started to feel good. I didn't feel the need for it anymore. So it's okay to put it aside. And maybe if in life you feel like finishing it eventually, that's awesome. That's good. But it's really like also like most things in life, we tend to put so much pressure on having to finish it. It could be like a symbolic way of closing something that was never closed, because we kind of look at a relationship. We usually, hopefully, enter a relationship or a life situation with a person that you would like to have it a long term in your life. And then something happens, and then you break up, or the person is gone from life, and you feel like it's not complete. You didn't get to finish it the time you wanted to finish it, but everything is meant to happen when it's meant to happen. And then you can just not finish this story or that painting or something, and then that will be like the representation of that relationship. It was as it was meant to be. You don't definitely have to finish it.
Yeah, it's really nice. How about it's the closing thought for this episode, because I think it was just so nicely put in there.
Yeah, we can close it with the unfinished story. I mean, yeah. I think
you said everything you wanted to say.
Yes, I did say everything I think I wanted to say. There is always more, but I think we shared a lot of information in one go. So let's close it now.
And I hope that some of you can identify with it, or some of the things mentioned can be eye-opening for you, or just will start a thought process in you. And if it's the case, please share it, because we really would like to see it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, and hope you join us next time as well. See you.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.